Welcome to Sustainable Leadership Live. I am Lisa Danforth, your host, and today I have the amazing, fabulous, and lovely Laura Sorensen. Laura, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Lisa. It is a true pleasure. I love this lady, people.
Right back at you. This is the second time we've had Laura on the show, and she's always full of so much amazing information that we can really share and help us just live more sustainably because we can have more time and space to ourselves. But before we jump in, I just want to share a little bit about Laura and why we have her here today. Laura's a design doctor and multimedia brand developer. She has a small design agency in Little Rhodey, aka Rhode Island, and she loves building design partnerships with the coolest business owners. Laura works with indie consultants and marketing teams to galvanize their brand identity and weaponize their visual marketing strategy. Let's jump in. You ready?
Yeah, I wanted to say real quick, we're all kind of trying to change up how we describe what we do, right? As kind of as owners, we're always trying to okay, is this a better way to say it? So what you said was great. I'll just want to say my kind of newer version of that is I help you get measurable results from your brand design without the hassle, stress, or cost of an agency. So
okay, that's just beautiful right there. I love succinct. And if that doesn't help us be more sustainable as a leader, as a business owner, and in our business, right? Yeah. Amazing. All right. Yeah. So we're going to start off today with talking about Laura, her journey. She's going to be sharing about her journey and her mistakes and how she shares her value persuasively, because that is where we're going to start at. So let's jump in. Let's talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. So I'll say first and foremost, I am a bad example of I think what you should do as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. So I've been doing this for almost 20 years now. So I've had a lot of time to kind of learn from my mistakes and kind of reshift and be like, okay, that's not right. I'm going to change things up and experiment. And so I would say more than enough time to get my act together, but I'm still getting it together. So anybody can do it better than I can. So if you're just figuring things out, you're already kind of and you're, a year in or 6 months in or 2 days in, you're already probably doing much better than I am. So
and that's a wrap, people.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Well, I love your transparency, right? Your vulnerability, because we all make mistakes. And it doesn't matter what level we're at. We make bigger mistakes when we're higher up the ladder. I always love to say the higher up the mountain we climb, the view changes. So when we're shifting things, it's often because, right, something else piqued our curiosity there where we want to move, and where we thought we were going shifts. And that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I'll say for myself, the kind of the big, I guess, problem or communication issue that I kind of had to and have to continually shift my focus toward or reframe is this idea of when I talk to potential clients, or even if I'm at a networking event, I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm introducing myself and what I do, I just always go toward talking to what I do. I'm a designer. I'm a brand designer. I can help you with your brand. I can help you with your brand marketing, and I can streamline all of that. I can take a lot of that off your shoulders, or off the shoulders of your kind of your marketing team that may not be skilled in, the design piece. And all of that is good. I mean, it's important to be able to speak to that, to just articulate what you do and be able to say it succinctly. However, in the end, that is just a piece of what I actually do or help with. Even though that's the work that I do, the pain that I'm actually, solving is I'm taking all of this stress away from the team, maybe, or the person that the burden of all this kind of design work that they don't love doing. I'm taking that away from them, and I'm alleviating that pain. I'm also helping the business look less like a generic Joe Schmo and more like a very specific, hey, I want to give that company my money because they look like they have it all together and they're going to take care of me. I make them look less amateur, less generic, way more professional. So those are the things that I'm kind of getting really specific about what I help people with. But I'm really bad, even as I'm describing it right now. I'm like, can I say that? Should I say that? But those are the types of things that people need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
They need to understand that you are going to provide those things, that those are going to come with the deliverables, like the work that you're actually doing for them. And that's really hard for me to, even after all these years, it's really hard for me to kind of speak to that. And I help other clients with that. So, you know how we help other people solve the problems that are really difficult for us to solve? Hey, well, that's what I do. So really,
I had a coach one time that said, you can't read the label from inside the box.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, of course. It's beautiful. But I guess really, if I had to sum that up, it's don't speak about what you do, speak about the pain you can take away for people.
Mm-hmm. The transformation.
Easy, yeah. But if you can kind of hear that and then like reformulate it inside what you do. And I just think that your messaging and the way that you present what you do is going to be so much more important and persuasive and effective.
So key. And I think it's so easy, especially when we're starting or even when we're successful, but we've got our head down to not fully grasp the impact of our brand, who we are, how we're putting ourselves out there. And that can easily diminish our value if we're not doing it properly, or maybe we don't value how important that is.
Right. And I think that sometimes we're so focused on like getting the work done, and I don't know, just keeping our kind of nose to the grindstone. Mm-hmm. And this is actually why we need coaches like the lovely Lisa here to help us kind of see the forest for the trees and what we're missing and what we could actually be kind of speaking to on a much higher level or a deeper level. I don't know. I feel like I'm going in like all these 3-dimensional directions here, but yes, we need, I think the basic takeaway here is, as entrepreneurs, we cannot do this for ourselves. Sometimes our partners can kind of like, or, a really close friend can like help us see this stuff, but we need someone that isn't inside our business, isn't related to us, doesn't have like, a dog in the fight of whether or not you get like really frustrated by the advice. We need someone that can help us see what we are missing. And no, I didn't mean this to be like a plug for the lovely Lisa, but we need this. We can't just kind of like be soldiering on, be troopers on our own. We need to surround ourselves, and not just kind of like, once every 5 years. Oh, I think I need like a coach. No, I think you need to be doing this on a regular basis. Maybe you can take breaks. You can be like, okay, I need to, focus on this, major project right now. But after a month or two, or maybe it's like every 6 months, you're like, okay, I got to dive back into that coaching relationship and like reconfigure my focus.
Really what you said was to pause, to gain clarity. To what I heard you say anyway is helping someone to help you to gain clarity. What is the value? How do we put it out there? How do we do it consistently?
Yeah. Yes. I also think too that I kind of want to jump back a bit to what I was mentioning before, but just unpack it a little bit. Is oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we want to speak to we want to say like all happy stuff, like, oh, here's what it's going to feel like after after you work with me, or I'm going to be able to do all these like cool things for you. Isn't this great? But, and here's kind of where I'm going, pain. It can be difficult for us to focus on pain or like the frustration in terms of telling our story and kind of showing our value or our genius to the world. And where I'm going with that is being able to articulate the pain that your client or your prospect is experiencing as a result of not working with you, and as a result of maybe not even knowing that they need someone like you. And I think it's very valuable. I'm gonna actually go back. I'm gonna say it's necessary to be able to understand that and then speak to that in a confident way, because someone else can be doing that. Someone else can be speaking to, your prospects' pain points in a much better way, a much more articulate way. And maybe their product totally sucks, but you know what? They're the ones that are going to get the clients, because they're actually speaking to the pain points that, the person's saying like, oh, they know how I feel. They know exactly what I'm going through. I'm going to give them my money. So if you have a good product or a good service, it can't just be that. You can't just have the good product or the good service. That's not enough, sadly, on its own to get you the clients that you want and need.
Yeah, inspiring value, inspiring just all of it. So how do we get started? How do we inspire more trust, inspire more value? Where is it that we can really start, take that first step if we're looking to explore this?
Well, that's a good question. I think depends on the size of your company. If you're a small company and you're like, wow, I kind of like what Laura and Lisa are talking about. Lisa, I'm sure that you have intro calls that you do. I have power hours that I do that you've actually taken advantage of, where we can, thank you, where we can actually kind of uncover some of these kind of communication problems and figure out ways to kind of get around them or go through them. But I want to be the first one to say that I'm not the one that is going to be able to solve all of your marketing problems or organizational problems, So it's usually kind of several people or several entities that you need. I would say first and foremost, you need someone like Lisa that can. I just feel like I feel like I'm making this shameless plug for you. Yeah, but it's not. I feel like you need someone that is willing to tell you. This is going to sound odd, but is willing to tell you that your baby's ugly. Is willing to say, you know what, that sounds great, but it's bad. Or it's just ineffective. I mean,
Ineffective,
it's difficult for me, but I'll tell you that too. But you need several people around you that that you're paying to actually tell you that, because that
you trust.
That you trust.
Right? That you trust for feedback. And to me, that should not be a spouse or even a dear friend or whatnot, because their perspective is skewed.
Yes. Right. And they're going to want to maybe make you feel better. Yeah. Or they're irritated with you. So everything they're going to say is like, oh, you're doing an awful job. So, so yeah, but I do want to say, Lisa, that kind of getting back to the original question of how I'm trying and failing and slowly but surely doing better at sharing my value persuasively. we're all kind of stumbling through this cool, crazy life. Is that the best way is, and this is going to sound like I'm kind of knocking what I do, but the best way of doing that is not always through marketing, not always through kind of having like an awesome website or a beautiful logo. I feel like you need that. You need those things. Once you're kind of ready to attract the level of clientele or customer base that you desire. But what you really need to do in terms of kind of getting exposure and building a referral network is plain and simple, being able to just spend time on the ground talking with people. And I don't necessarily mean like going to networking events, because in my experience, so many networking events, I'm standing there and I have the distinct impression that the other person I'm speaking with is waiting for me to finish talking so they can hand me their business card and move on. And it's like, I don't want to be, at a place like this, or like, I'm so glad there's wine because I don't know, this is just like, oh, this is awful. I just got to get out of here. So I'm kind of, for a while now, I've kind of tried to divide and conquer with the types of events that I go to, but nothing compares to meeting with people one-on-one. Even the Zoom chats that you and I have done, Lisa, just you and me, nothing compares to that, because you're able to speak into someone else's life, give them encouragement, and in a kind of, I would say, like a low kind of pressure environment, speak to what you do. You're not like necessarily selling to this other person, so they're able to give you their kind of reaction or feedback to that, and then you're able to do that for them. And so it doesn't happen like beautifully or perfectly every time, but I feel like just that one thing, whether that's on Zoom or in person at a cafe or, working space or whatever, building that into your week, at least like once a week, I actually do it a few times with different people. Sometimes I can't fit it into a week because I'm super busy, but that's so valuable to me because, especially as an entrepreneur that works from her home office. And years back, I just wouldn't leave my home for like 4 or 5 days at a time because I was just so buried in the work. And then I would go to the grocery store and I would just be chatting away to the checkout lady. And I was like, why am I so chatty? This is so weird. And I was like, oh, it's because I haven't really like talked with another human in a while.
So really what I'm hearing you say is connection, right? Where you start is connection, whether it's a networking event, whether it's setting up the one-on-one, inviting people to conversations so that you can learn more about them, share a little bit about you, see if you want to work together or refer, or just simply stay connected, is starting that, building value, building trust, all of that, so that you can move forward in one direction or another.
Yes. And I'll say I have a little process for how I do this if I'm part of like a webinar. If it's a webinar where people can kind of participate a little bit, like maybe ask a question at the end, or you have to be able to see other people. What I do is, as the webinar is going on, I just kind of look at the other people that are in the group and I notice the people that are engaged. Maybe they're kind of nodding their head, or they're laughing at something that the speaker has said, or they're just engaged somehow. And that, that comes through very clearly, I think, in your, I think some people that are like trying to like multitask, they might hope that their multitasking isn't coming through the screen. Trust me, it probably is.
It is.
So I notice the people that are really engaged, and sometimes I'll just do a quick screen grab so I can I just do a
screenshot.
Screenshot. Yes, thank you. where I can see their name.
Mhm.
And then after the webinar is over, sometimes during the webinar, if I get a chance, I'll, maybe I can kind of chat with them. If, on the Zoom kind of like chat feature, but usually I don't get a chance to do that. Afterward, a couple hours later, or if it's at the end of the day, maybe the next day, I'll just reach out to them, like say on LinkedIn, and I'll say, hey, Lisa, your question yesterday during the XYZ seminar was so awesome. That was really great that you asked that question. You seem like such a fun person. Do you want to I would love to have like a Zoom chat with you to get to know you better. Are you game? And like, that's all I do, and I've never had someone turn me down, and it's always wonderful.
And that definitely helps inspire that trust, right? Really starting to build who you are. So reach out, make those connections. How else can we inspire trust in our brand? I mean, it's really getting us out there consistently.
Well, one thing that I have been doing for a few months now, I've been trying to kind of push myself, because I'm not great at this, is just putting something, at least one thing every week on some social media platform. I think LinkedIn is probably the one where I get the most exposure to the types of businesses that would be a good fit for me. But I think that is one of the key ways. So that's maybe the second way that people kind of learn about me, that I stay top of mind. And I think for a long time, I thought I have to share what I have to just do so much work to pull this post together. I have to write it. Well, now we have Chat GPT, I think you don't want to just take it directly from Chat GPT, because then usually sounds like it's just taken directly from Chat GPT, but I always do a little bit of rewriting. But yeah, we have Chat GPT, and you don't have to kind of like overthink it. All you have to do is just share some like little piece of insight, or even just like a weird, wacky picture of yourself. Or I don't know. I actually had it just a couple days ago. My good friend and client, Elizabeth O'Neill, I thought it was a great post. She just showed a picture of her workspace in her office. Her like dogs were like stretched out around the desk. And I thought, oh, that's so lovely. And we never really get a chance to see that, because we always see the wall behind who we're, talking to on a screen. So I think even stuff like that, it's just so simple. And maybe with that, I think we maybe need to surround ourselves with one or more people that can help identify those opportunities for us. Because again, we're kind of like, oh, it's got to be like big, it's got to be deep, we got to do all this stuff. And sorry, I'm getting a sore throat during this weird invitation. But we need people to like help us get out of our own way. So I'm going to take a sip. But yeah, we need people to kind of help us see how simple it can be to put little dribs and drabs of our genius out there. Really
just show up, be real, be authentic, connect with the people, put some of ourselves on social media. It doesn't have to be super vulnerable, but I think people do want to know, who are you behind the curtain? And that absolutely builds trust. It builds value. People feel like they know you a little bit better, and build your community. I want to say tribe, but I think that's no longer politically correct. Build the people around you that are going to support you and that you can support them, so that your message gets out, so that they can give you true, honest feedback, and really build your brand from there.
I heartily agree with all of that. Now, I want to ask you, Lisa, and that's maybe like putting you on the spot a bit, but what do you feel like is the most difficult piece of that for you? Or maybe if it's not the most difficult, just pick anything about that you struggle with.
The 3 different areas I just mentioned?
Yeah.
For me, it's creating copy. In person, I can chat, even if it feels a little uncomfortable. I've taught myself how to engage in conversation and ask questions. But it's sitting down and writing the copy is for me, it doesn't come naturally. And then I get stuck up in my head and that gets in the way of it. So I can see the vicious cycle. But that is social media is the hardest because I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do know that it is necessary in building a sustainable, scalable business.
Yes. Can I tell you one really odd, crazy tip?
Sure.
So I learned this from a really great past coach of mine, Dave Lubacek from the Brain for Rent. And he was telling us about, it's pretty cool. He was telling us about, in this coaching group that I was in, telling us about how he uses Chat GPT. And he says, so I ask Chat GPT a question, but then I say, can you write it like your Han Solo?
Oh yeah.
And I just thought, oh, that's so weird. Now, I've never actually done that with ChatGPT. I haven't actually said, okay, write it like your Han Solo. But I have actually, from that conversation, I have thought, okay, well, my voice is, I'm definitely fun and funny. A little bit irreverent, like a touch, maybe snarky. But then also useful and straightforward. I mean, that's like 10 adjectives right there. I mean, it was way too many, but that's what I've done. I've said, okay, can you tell me how, I would say XYZ in a funny, snarky, wise, straightforward, useful way, and that is usually a really good jumping off point for me. So I completely agree with you, Lisa. Coming up with that social media post content is it's just pulling teeth. It's oh, I just don't want to do this. But often what we need is just a good jumping off point, a place to kind of start.
Yeah. And that is so important. I think that jumping off point really helps us step into more inspiration all the way around. So believe it or not, we are at time.
Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
Goes fast. I would love to ask you, what's one thing that you would really like for people to take away today? Like if there was one thing that they could implement that you feel that would make the most amount of impact and in them inspiring more value in their brand, what's that one tip? What's that one insight?
I would actually go back to something I said before and reiterate it, which is find out what the real thing is that you help people achieve or get. Mm-hmm. With me, essentially, it's at least where I am now, it's trust. I help businesses establish trust in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. But the context I do that in is inside of design. So I don't just make you feel better by designing stuff. I help your business establish trust. And when you're able to speak to that and articulate that really well, then you're just going to stand out from all the other people that are selling stuff based on their features and the benefits.
Right. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Where can people reach out to you? Your website? Is there a social platform that you prefer?
I'm on kind of mostly on LinkedIn, but you can also find me on Instagram and on Facebook. My website is atelierlks.com. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but atelier is French for studio and LKS are my initials. Mm-hmm. Or if you just kind of want a super easy spelling, just do brandharmony.pro. Just a little bit easier to remember and spell. But yeah, I would love to be connected with, if you have a question, direct message me or reach out. I'd love to connect with anyone that wants a connection and wants some encouragement.
And definitely reach out to Laura. I have had the Power Hour session, I think a couple of those sessions, and they
Yeah.
are absolutely powerful and transformative. You walk away with so much information in a short period of time. So please reach out, connect with her, let her know that you saw her on Sustainable Leadership Live. And that is a wrap for the day. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I really do appreciate it. And Laura, thank you for sharing your brilliance with us today. It's always a joy to chat with you.
Anytime, my friend.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.